Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are discussing modern women. Should you marry a modern woman? And if so, why or why not?
I ain't got no problems with nobody, why they bother me? I be having products, saving profit, cause I got it free. I been having Jordan 1s back when they would sit on shelves, riding with the big bro, in the trunk a couple 12s. I know it's a long way from living and it helps. I thought everybody knew the difference, but they don't. I'm trying to buy a crib with the windows to the floor. I need natural light and fresh fruit to cross off all my goals.
Melania Trump. You think she's physically, sexually attracted to Donald Trump?
Of course not.
But she made a decision, which marriage has always been. Well, there are not a lot of choices out here. So I can either live this lifestyle over here and have a husband that exercises his options, or I can go work hard. And you can choose. And here's the thing: would you rather be a woman who's in the position to have a choice or not?
Have a choice.
Well, then, and they chose, and that's what feminism truly is: choice. Truly is. It's about choice.
I know some women who will willingly do this.
And happy doing
yes,
it.
they're happy.
And
I
most,
understand
and
that
most,
to them.
so
It infuriates me.
why does it infuriate you?
Why would you?
It's none of your business.
Big dreams showing on the big screen, jotting down these 16s, trying to make it big.
Rest in peace to the late, great Kevin Samuels. But he discussed this very topic. And the point that he raised in this discussion was that modern women want to control men. Now, question becomes, is that something that's unique to just modern women, or do all women in some capacity want to control men? Now, that is up for interpretation, but let's go ahead and watch what Kevin had to say, and I will chime in with a few opinions here and there.
If a man had a choice between 5 girls and they're all 10s, and maybe 2 of them have a great mindset, the rest don't. Yes, they all have vaginas. Yes, they all look good. But a high-value man would prefer the woman with a great mindset, woman that is smart, maybe going to uplift him, maybe going to invest into him in the ways that she can. In any relationship I've been in, I've never just been there to look cute. I help whoever I'm dealing with.
So is that a question?
Not financially, but just...
Is that a question for
I'm
me?
asking, yeah, it's a long question, but yes.
Would a high-value man...
a woman that is internally full of substance, or is he just saying, I want a beautiful trophy wife who is subservient to me?
Nope. See, I covered this last night. Mindset.
Yeah, what is a mindset?
Mindset. When a woman in high demand has a mindset that's cooperative, smart, and agreeable.
Anything else?
There may be many other things, but those are the baseline things. The baseline things. A woman who's fit internally and externally, meaning she's dedicated, disciplined, and discerning. She's feminine, meaning she's affectionate, accommodating, with subtle sophistication, and she's naturally nurturing. Carefree, loving, easygoing, lightheartedness. These are women that men of value tend to be in demand. See, and the problem is you don't tend to. Where in all of that was looks.
That was internal. You were speaking about that?
No. That's fitness. None of that had to do with looks. Men will go down in looks to go up in mindset. But the thing is, the women you said, if they're all 10s and they're this, that's perfection. And rarely, and there's a parody talking about the hotness scale. And they say if you meet a woman that's a 10 in mindset and a 10 in looks, run because it's a man.
I've heard that before.
So
I was saying, I grew up living in Miami. I know tons of women who are extremely beautiful, attractive,
and vacuous.
But the inside, the internal portions of them are what to me differentiate all women from each other.
Okay.
But when I think of a high value man, I don't really, that portion you just mentioned of high value men liking those characteristics, I don't think I've heard that very often in what you've stated in other videos.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You live in Miami, which is bizarro land. You can't really judge the world based upon Miami.
So this is my reality. This is a reality of a lot of people in South Florida.
But Hollywood is a reality of a lot of people in LA, but it's not real. You need to get out of Miami and travel around and see that this is not real. That's one of the things about Miami. You just said that you're either rich or you're pretending like you're rich. That's not the reality. But here, it is a alternate reality. So high value, what women and what men determine to be high value is a list of things, and money is only one component of them. But whatever it is, are high value men more rare than beautiful women? In shorter supply. In shorter supply.
So.
Right.
Based off of your description of high value.
If a high value man is in shorter supply than beautiful women, then who has the leverage?
What percentage of
the thing that's in shorter supply? That's why diamonds cost more, because of the supply. That's why platinum is more.
Okay, but what percentage of high value men would you say are in the United States? If you could put a number on it, percentage.
It's just 10% are in six figures or more.
But what percentage of people, like
10%.
10% of
the
men. Population
10% of men
are
earn six figures. They're in the category of the earning, but as far as the other components, don't know.
No, I'm just
I don't. You can only things we can judge in the United States. High value is need to earn $10,000 or more. We can quantify that.
I know your high value.
We can, and at 3 to 5 years, we can find that. They are recognized as high value men or potential high value men from their peers. That means you either there or you have it. Can't quantify that.
Yeah.
They have a network of high value men and others. Can't quantify that. They're LinkedIn level. You can quantify that because it's visible, a visibility component. They're not quantify that. Let's make themselves that. And there are fewer of these men than there are women who are beautiful. Because beauty is cheap.
You can buy everything now. I get that.
So when I say it's not special, the reality is, if you want to tell me a woman is special, I have to see her in a natural condition. Most women aren't even natural today. Most women walk out and you don't even. There was a skit on I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. And the woman was talking about, my eyes are really green, it's hitting my hair and this and that. It's supposed to be a skit, but now today it's like, and I want to go back to the other part. High value men don't cheat. They exercise options.
Yes.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
What do you want to know about it?
I'm not gonna lie, that triggers me very much.
Okay.
In Jamaica, that is a very common way of life. A lot of men that have a lot of finances will exercise their options while their wife or wifey is home and they do their thing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard of that trope growing up, and it always infuriated
Beta! Sorry. It always infuriated you.
Yeah.
Why?
The idea of being married to a man who is exercising his options.
She could have chose somebody else.
No, what if he didn't start?
Hold on. Why does somebody else's choice infuriate you?
Because they're only, most of the time in Jamaica at least, because there's not as many options for a woman to be financially independent.
Mm-hmm.
They stay in that relationship because they don't feel that they have a choice.
No, that's your opinion.
No, this is the truth.
Okay, man. Okay, let's be
versus
fair.
the U.S. where there's more.
I'm going to stop here and actually interject. I think there's a couple of valid points that's been raised so far, but one of the major points here is that to distinguish a modern woman you have to first assess the mindset of that woman. How does that person think? And I think one thing that you can see in today's society is that a lot of women think in a very selfish way, where they're more independent minded, more willing to forego having a man per se, because they feel like they can bear the burden themselves. Now, to be fair, I don't believe that that is women's choice. I think a lot of women would argue we have to do more because our men aren't doing enough or not pulling their weight. So now we have to essentially carry the weight of the family. And I think they've been taught or they were raised to be self-reliant. And so, it's not necessarily something that is solely their fault per se, but I think it's been ingrained. They were trained, they were bred to believe that, they only need to rely on themselves. And I think there's a major difference between being independent minded and being interdependent minded. Whereas an interdependent person acknowledges that they need to depend on someone other than themselves, whereas an independent minded person assumes that they can only depend on themselves. And what you have is a lot of people in today's day and age lack trust for the other person. They lack trust for their partner, their prospective partners. And so in a way, they assume the worst and they, run off with that. And sometimes it's for good reason. Sometimes they're, the men they choose aren't necessarily the best options and they don't have the greatest things going for themselves. So I think it creates a lot of issues where the woman does have to step out and do more. But I do think that it's a combination of distrust from their parents being modeled, their caretakers, their moms, their aunts, their female influences in their lives. That distrust or from experiences that they have had was then passed down to the daughters, so that the daughters would then assume that men can't be trusted, and so they have to rely on themselves. Now, to be fair, as a man with two daughters, I naturally would tell my daughters, to make sure that they are equipping themselves to be a helpmate to whoever it is that they plan to marry at some point. That means present your best foot. If your best foot means you need to make sure you get an education, you get a trade, you get something that makes you more of a catch for a man, then you need to do that, because there are times where a man may, be down and out, and he needs to know that the whole ship isn't going to crumble. So what you bring to the table then plays a part there. And there are times where, a man needs support, and, what's best for the family is for you to play more of a role in the household, right? Provided that that man is, and your family has the means to just have a one income household as opposed to a two. That may be what's required, but just be prepared to be useful, to be a helpmate to the man. Now, a lot of times some women view that as almost as an insult. The idea that they have to subject themselves to the rule of the leadership of a man ends up being an issue for them, a hard pill for them to swallow. And so I think in those moments, it's harder for people with that mindset of distrust to go into a relationship where they're having to rely on someone else to make decisions for their well-being, their family, and things of that nature. So I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed. But also going back to the latest point that Kevin just raised about men not cheating but exercising options. Now, these kind of far-fetched on that. I'm not going to hold you. As a Christian man, I'm not going to say that I fully agree with this point of view. I think it's to each his own, but I think he is kind of hovering on a bigger point. And that bigger point is that men of means tend to be able to have the financial capacity to take care of more than one person. So because they have the means, they then choose to exercise who they allow to engage in relationship with. Some relationships may be a home front relationship. Others may be a, kind of a drive-by relationship or a touch and go relationship or some sort of combination of the two. But a lot of times you'll find that men in that position, because they have such a high demand of women seeking their attention, a high demand of women pursuing them, because of that, they tend to choose from those options to determine who they get with. Whether it's the younger woman who's coming of age who wants to engage with an older man, or it's a woman of his age who wants to engage, or maybe even sometimes women who is older than him who wants to engage. Point is, a man of means is desired by all. The older women, the younger women, they all want a man of means, a man who carries himself well, a man who's accomplished. And I think that's his point. Now, to her point, she says the idea that a man can exercise their options while they have a wife or somebody at home is triggering, because I think in our way of thinking, our westernized way of thinking, that's not something that is sort of encouraged. This sort of polygamous mindset when it comes to relationship is something that I think a lot of women in the Western culture reject. And so naturally she, would have some angst against that. But let's let them continue the conversation and see what we can extract.
That's what you believe. That there's see, I've brought women on from other countries who openly say, yeah, they go into these relationships and they're happy to be in them.
Okay, that's them.
No, it's not. But okay, then don't do it. But see, the thing is, why this woman, Melania Trump, you think she's physically, sexually attracted to Donald Trump?
Of course not.
But she made a decision, which marriage has always been. And the thing is, women, you want women to choose how you choose, and then you say you can't speak for all women. Kind of rich. If that's what that woman chose to do, she said, let's just take your choice. Well, there are not a lot of choices out here. So I can either live this lifestyle over here and have a husband that exercises his options, or I can go work hard. And you can choose. And here's the thing, would you rather be a woman who's in the position to have a choice or not?
Have a choice.
Well, then, and they chose. And that's what feminism truly is, choice. Truly is, it's about choice. But see, the thing is, when women tend to choose things that line up to more traditional, not as modern, not as liberal, a lot of modern feminists have an issue with that. But let's talk about it. Where in history have men who would have been considered in the nobility, earls, dukes, not in the monarchy, because you have to be born into that bloodlines, right? Oldest system of government, monarchy, one of the oldest systems. Where would men who were landowners, lords, ever have just been monogamous?
It's history. I understand monogamy has a lot to do with religion.
But any continent in any time frame, men of means had a primary wife, and what did men in Asia? They had concubines. It's just funny that today women want men who are in the top percentile. Then you want them to be alpha male, and you don't get it. No.
It won't happen.
Now, I mean, it can. I say the exercise options. Number one, it's not mandatory, but I'm gonna tell you, more women who are married to these men look at y'all like the women who have these issues, and they're like, they come on my show. I don't know what they're talking about. Sitting there flashing their Protect Philippe watch in their house. They're like,
that's what they value over.
But you assume that these women are being.
I know some women who will willingly do this
and happy doing it.
They're happy.
And
I understand that.
So
it infuriates me.
Why does it infuriate you?
Why would you?
It's none of your business. I mean, why is it your business?
Because women are valuing material possessions.
Okay, so what about when men? What about
them solely?
Okay, well, what about when men?
That's disrespect.
Okay.
Over material items.
Okay, then how about this? What about when you went to college?
Mm-hmm.
And men who went to college would get mad at women who look like you who dated drug dealers instead of the college boy.
That wasn't me, but I understand.
No. Where was it? Come on, see.
What do you mean?
Meaning you're saying, it's disrespect. You should get a man who's more of a fit, who values you more. You should get a man that's what's supposed to be loyalty. Then if you're supposed to be with somebody, college men, women will openly date thugs in college. And then,
crazy. I don't agree with that either.
But when men get infuriated about it, women say that ain't none of your business. Become a soldier.
Look, that bothers me as well.
Well, okay, maybe you're a little.
That's never been my type.
Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, it happens, and in the Black community, it happens
all the time.
So we would have a term called Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lame. This is a whole thing to where women have. I want Tupac in a suit trying to rejigger attractiveness. To where now you want to do, I heard women say, I want a man that wears a suit to work and handle his business, and come home and have a wife beater on and handle his business. And then they get mad when these very Black men decide to date out because they don't have to be superhero Negro and some trope. They can just be men with other folks. We can not get into that subject too, but let's say
woman, you're saying, okay, I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
You're saying a woman whose preference are hood men infuriates the other great prospects in college men. That's similar to what I was stating about women choosing to be in relationships with men who cheat on them.
The difference is that when women do it, you tell men to shut the fuck up. When men do it, women are upset. Yeah, it's like it's the hypocrisy. You don't judge both things the same. What infuriates men is not you choosing to be with the hood dude. When you choose to be with the hood dude and then you get hood outcomes, then you turn around and say men ain't shit because women refuse to make distinctions amongst men. That's why my show is so popular, because I make women make distinctions amongst the men. I force the distinction. And it's like, well, why are you going to, how many times have I heard a woman, I got a master's, a bachelor's, a PhD, and you dating a local D-boy?
With experience comes clarity, and with clarity comes a good relationship.
Sarah, why don't you want to do that?
No, experience usually comes with damage.
Emotional damage.
You have to go through things to gain experience.
Happens all the time. I thought it was crazy in the 90s when it started happening. In 2020, it's still happening. That was the sister that got killed not too long ago. She was in finance and banking, dating a different. Hey, man, that's crazy. So, but the thing is, if you want the lifestyle that comes along with it, there's a cost to everything. If you don't want to pay it, don't get it.
Well, I guess there's women out there like me who hope to. That's the only thing about high value men that I don't like. That's why I said I'll do a mid-value. I'd rather go to work, clock in, and not be cheated on.
What you're missing is that where did I say it was mandatory?
When you're giving them, you have to understand you have a lot of influence. If you're saying to men, there could be a man right here listening to you, and he makes $1 million a year. He goes, no, Kevin says, I can't step out on her. What's she gonna do about it? That could be happening all the time.
Well, here's the thing. And again, you want to go back to stepping out. The cheating rates are roughly the same. Women get all upset about male infidelity, but women just sweep y'all stuff under the rug. Like women ain't out here cheating on their men. Sorry, man, it happens. So I have a lot of influence. Right, I'm trying to influence women to realize you can't have it all. Life is about choices and trade-offs. And you were saying, that's why I don't like about high value men. So I would settle for a mid-value man. Yeah, got news for you. Don't nobody want to be what you settle
I'm just going to interject real quick. He made another valid point. I think this point that he made was about the notion that you can't have it all. In life, it's true. There are choices and trade-offs. A lot of times, you know, we kind of have a wish list of things that we want to have. And I think this applies for both men and women, right? You want the person to meet every criteria on your wish list, and you don't want to trade off much. But in life, most negotiations don't happen like that, where one side gets everything they want and the other side doesn't. You know, typically for a good transaction, especially in business, to take place, it requires both people to at least get something, some outcome, some desired outcome met, right? And he makes a valid point. This is not what he's saying, is not him saying that it's a mandatory thing. But if a woman wants a man that she deems to be a high value man, and she goes into that desire in pursuit of that man, knowing that a lot of other women are chasing that man for the similar reasons that she is, which would maybe what that man can provide for her. Maybe she wants a man like that to procreate with so that she can have other capable children with those type of genes. Maybe she just wants the lifestyle that a man like that affords her. She's not the only woman who desires something like that. And so, in a way, she's walking into an arena where it's like The Bachelorette. It's 10, 15 women vying to be with one man, or The Bachelor, you know. And so everyone is trying to get the upper hand on the next person. And there's a lot of backbiting and things of that nature, but that's because that man's a man who's in high demand. So therefore, the price of that man also goes up, right? And sometimes that price may be infidelity issues. It may be a situation where that man may not be as readily available to cater to that woman in a monogamous manner like she would desire. And I'm not saying this is what somebody should do, but it is important to understand that this is actually, it's actually a factor that, you know, women must consider. You know, when you want a man that everybody else wants, that man, you know, becomes that much more desirable. The pressure to remain faithful in that relationship becomes harder for the man. Now, to be honest, most men of means are not outside trying to be with everybody. One, because they don't have the time to do it. Right? That's one thing. Two, you know, they understand with every decision and every person that they deal with, it's a chance of them putting themselves in a situation where they can destroy everything they've built. And no one wants to work hard, do everything, and then become lazy and become, you know, careless with who they allow in their life and the type of drama that happens. Now, I know in society it does happen. There are plenty of men who have put themselves in a situation where they, you know, they sabotage it all. Some men are stupid like that. But the majority of the people in that top tier class of men are very, very deliberate. A lot of them are married. A lot of them aren't necessarily, you know, on the main front like that, you know, jeopardizing their relationship. I think they move with a certain level of consideration for what's at risk should they mess this up. Not to say that those men don't do what they do, but they move in a different manner to protect what they've built. And some of those men choose not even to exercise those options that they may want because they understand the threat that may exist of them potentially getting caught up in some sort of legal affair or some sort with a young lady and getting jammed up. I mean, I think there was an example of this with the owner of the Lakers. The former owner of the Lakers was a guy who was ousted because they said he was a racist guy. He apparently was dating an Asian lady who may have been mixed. I think she was Asian and black or something like that. And whenever this guy would, I guess, get drunk and, bear it all to him, even though he was the owner of a team that had the majority black people in it, he would start talking crazy about black people. And this lady, as a means of blackballing him, recorded the conversations and then outed him in the public square. And that man not only lost the millions, if not billions of dollars that he could have made on the team, but he also lost his right to continue being the owner of the team. That's a situation where it is not wise to just be outside choosing the wrong woman where you can sabotage everything. And I'm not sure if that man was married. I think he was married. And this little girl was his, I'm not going to say little girl. I don't know what her age was. She's far younger than him. This guy might have been in his 70s or 80s. And this lady was in her 20s or maybe late 20s or something like that. But, this man lost billions, if not millions of dollars for that. A lot of men of means understand what's at risk when it comes to choosing who they deal with. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't exercise their options, but it does mean that they're not outside like some of these philandering dudes, slinging their thing around, right? They tend to be a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more calculated. But to his point, a woman doesn't have to sign up for that. She understands going in, this is what lies ahead. It's almost like if you're a young lady dating a celebrity who's on tour all the time, he's young, he's vibrant, he's doing his thing, like you dating a Chris Brown, and you happen to think that Chris Brown is going to go through all these different places where a bunch of gorgeous women are throwing themselves at this man, and he's going to be faithful exclusively to one person or monogamous to one person with that level of pressure. I think it'd be a bit far-fetched to assume that would happen, right? Given the fact that, a man, sometimes will succumb to his flesh. So I think it's something to consider as we listen in on this discussion, that Kevin makes some valid points here, but also to her point, it's a choice. She, as beautiful as this young lady is, says, I would rather find a man who would not put me in a situation like that. And I think it speaks to a woman's values. So going back to the mindset of a modern woman, most modern women are thinking with their pockets. They want a lifestyle. They want to look. It's not so much about relationship. It's not so much about uniqueness in a relationship. It's about, kind of living in the spotlight, being able to flex on people. You know what I mean? And that mindset is not one where it screams, come marry me, for most men with common sense. If anything, it's a mindset that says, oh, maybe I'm just going to have a good time here and not necessarily plant my seeds and plant my flag and invest myself here, because this is a person that is here today, but maybe gone tomorrow. So, all valid points.
Nobody wants to be selling. But the funny thing is, high value men sell all the time. You want to see this? You want me to explain it?
Sure. I found that surprising.
A man has to make himself valuable. He has to get some sort of competency, trade or education. He has to perform. He has to beat his competitors. He has to move up, right? Do men at that level typically marry a woman who has the same they have and or more? Or is it common that guy tends to marry the secretary or somebody else? What is that?
I see what you mean.
Is it yes? So that's called settling. But when a woman does the same darn thing, when she moves up, does something and so forth, women want men at the same level or higher. No. Successful people, when men were successful and settled, I had no problem with it. Now women, You wanted to be free to make your choices and do whatever you want, go pursue success, great. That means you're going to have to settle because the men at your level don't typically want the women there because they fail the other things. The mindset, where's the agreeableness? Where's the feminine? Where's all the other things? So women are frustrated because, I think women today are frustrated because you were told, go out, get an education, get out here and work, make some money, and then you can have it all. And in general, you got less. That's why the whole buy a dog and die alone. That's why we got Valentine's Day. So many women walking around with dogs and baby strollers crying on TikTok. because they're not happy. Relationships are what human beings are. And women are sitting around trying to act like relationships are just something you can take or leave. And women are breaking. Worldwide, 1 out of 4 women on some sort of psychotropic, psychiatric medication. Women have issues.
So in your opinion, what should women do? The majority. We should take care of ourselves and we should settle for what we can get.
Well, I don't think you settle for what you can get. I think you accept what you are.
To accept what you are.
Yeah, accept what you are. I had a woman on my show last night who was 27, 210 pounds. Okay?
So what if she
Hold
was
on.
Okay.
She had lost weight, but she was still 180 pounds. 5 other women on the platform. I said, man, fresh face out of the shower, no makeup, rank just your face. You can't use 7. She said, I'm 8. I said, so you put yourself up there with other Beyonce. Yeah. Happens every day. And I said, man, you're a 5. You're average. And I said, and you know what she did? She had an average career. An average looking woman who was above weight. But that wasn't even, I said, could you get with an average man and work with him like you work with a high man? No. So this is why I have no sympathy for women who are massively mad. We went through the pawn shop analogy. And the thing is, when you are telling average women, and I'm gonna say something, when women like you, who look like you, tell women that they can have your results, it does more damage than any influence I could ever have. Because they can't. You can go to a club and get into VIP. They gotta stand in line.
But that's just on the physical. I think any woman, right?
True, it doesn't matter.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But let's say the woman that's a fat. She drops weight, she gets in the gym, she gets her hair done, she gets plastic surgery, she gets her whole face done. Now she's 8 physically. Should she now be able to date better looking people?
Better looking?
I mean, higher substance, higher value men, because now she looks better.
No, I mean, yeah, she'd be able to. Here's the thing. We don't judge just on, we judge on marriages. Because hooking up, dealing with, is a completely different. Marriage is what you check. And is a likelihood that I marry a guy like that? Nah.
Looks can happen. I can leave here and get in a car accident and look crazy.
You could.
Or
but the point,
anything could happen, and all of a sudden now I can't.
But you asked the question, can she date him? Yeah, she can. Date him, have sex with him, but he can marry her? Likely no. Because we've already said it. Men up here are rare. Beauty is not. Why would you go get the woman and then have to go get all this? You can get the one that had all that naturally. You can make it the pick.
I don't think men care about natural beauty and natural bodies.
Funny thing is, I'm going to discuss that. It's such bullshit. My entire life, men have been asking women in general, black women in particular, to wear your own hair, to drop the weight and drop the attitude. And the only thing that's happened, I put a poster, something on my Instagram about RuPaul. Pink hair and big yellow earrings, glammed up, and I was like, who would have thought in the 90s this, which was drag, and almost like glamour shot look, but you walk out into the street every day, especially in Atlanta, and you see women dressed like that. Men have been When the men start asking for these long fingernails, men don't ask for this stuff. Women dress for women. And then you expect men to just accept it. What's happening is men are saying, no, I don't want that. I don't want a woman that's 300 pounds. I don't want a woman that has somebody else's kids. I don't want a woman who's got tattoos all over the place. I don't want a woman that's this, that, this. And I would rather have nothing. And I'm not going to say you can't do what you don't, but I don't want to marry you.
That's interesting.
And women are like, well, why not? But y'all don't answer the same question. When a man says what they want, y'all don't say, well, why not? Y'all, what tends to happen is women are like, just accept it. Men aren't doing it. But we're back to the high value thing. Exercising options. You realize most of these men are working 12, 16-hour days. They don't have time to have a whole other thing. You know what a man is cheating on you? When he buys another woman a penthouse. That's when he's cheating on you. When he puts his penis, if he chooses to do it, matters to some, but that ain't what men classify as cheating. What do I always say? If you're going to choose to exercise options, you need to talk about it up front. You need to let them know. Look, here's how it is. I have a sexual appetite. You don't need it. And maybe sometimes I just want to do something different. Here's the rules though. No outside kids, no diseases, no scandal, not going to embarrass you in public and private.
I think that there's nothing wrong with the man being upfront about what he wants, but I don't know if most men are. If they are high value, are they going to say, look, I want another woman, or I want to try new things? Or are they going to just do it because they can?
That's a good point. In an ideal world, it would be great if we can just go to, our prospective partner and say, here's the truth, here's what I really want. I want the right to exercise my options. I want a right to do that. But in reality, that doesn't always go over so well. Most women say they want that level of honesty and transparency from a man. But really and truly, that's a harsh truth that I think a lot of women take personal. They view a man saying that and being that level of transparent with them as them not being good enough to fulfill all the needs of that man. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with how good enough that woman is or isn't. It has everything to do with the fact that that man may, for whatever reason, want to exercise his options, because that man may feel like, okay, he wants some variety, or there's a number of reasons as to why he may decide he want to take that path. And I can't begin to classify any of those reasons as I don't live that lifestyle per se myself. But I'm simply saying that, she makes a valid point. A lot of men are not being honest up front about their intentions to maybe have more than one experience with one person. But the reason why that is, and again, not my lifestyle, but the reason why that is because I don't think that's a truth that a lot of women could accept. And I do think it's an uncomfortable truth that's kind of hard to talk about, that a lot of people would avoid talking about. Because I think that woman is still in some ways affected because she's been taught to believe that in a monogamous relationship, she should be the only person that fulfills all that man's needs, and that, he should always come to her for every need. And the truth is, men are not as forthcoming with their intentions when, they want to be outside, especially with a woman they care about. So generally speaking, it does create a point of contention for that relationship.
Jeff Bezos was still thinking with his college group when he turned marriage. I got this from high value men. This is out of the right there, but they can't be. Because let's just say, not you, let's just say your Francis. This is what it is. Jessica, I really want you to be my wife, my primary. You get it all. Your names are all policies and everything else like that. We have children together. No one's going to take your place. But from time to time, if I decide to dip out, I'm going to make sure there's no bring home any diseases, no babies. But you won't even know about it. The only way you're going to know about it is if you go looking for it. Now, you got a choice to make to say, and here's the funny thing. Most women who are married to high-value men say, cool, I'm going to tell you, I know this for a fact that I talk to them often. I date women who know what the hell I'm talking about. And they're like, oh, no, because you get to make the choice because they can say no. Because that's a choice. And then here's what tends to happen more than anything else. They'll say, oh, hell no. And then they'll look around to recognize, you know what? He's not just high value because his money, his mindset, the way he looks at the world. What I can get from that man, 10 dudes can't give me half of what he can.
Shorty's breathing heavy. This young lady breathing heavy. She's officially been triggered by everything Kevin is saying right now. Now, again, I think Kevin's making a valid point. It's not an easy conversation to have, folks. It really isn't. It isn't. But there are people like living like this. It's true. If you look at a relationship like Melania Trump and Donald Trump, it's very likely that a conversation like that was had. Not to take anything away from their relationship, but I think in Donald Trump's heyday, he was a young man doing big things in New York City, billionaire, having a lot of money. In fact, I think that this actually happened where his original wife, he got into an affair with another lady, and then they went through a divorce that was very public, and then he ended up marrying the other lady, and they had children. They had a child, a daughter, and then, he was still kind of living that Playboy lifestyle. But I think in a lot of ways, guys on that level have conversations about their intentions and how they're moving. And the woman has to make a conscious choice as to whether or not she wants to deal with that or not. But I respect the fact that this young lady, she's standing 10 toes down on what she believes. She doesn't think that that's something that should be acceptable. And I can respect that.
And he wants to make me primary, and just don't go looking for no problems. Why would you care if it's not in your face? You know what I mean? That's your control freak.
Probably. I don't.
Cool. I mean, that's cool. They don't do it. But see, before it became athletics and entertainment, I was in New York. You know how many executives had a miscellaneous item written to their company contract, and then miscellaneous item was for their Tuesday rule of the morning. So they got a husband. What's it called? Your work wife, your executive assistant. Then his mistress. You understand how many men with power, their mistress tends to help them pick out gifts for their moms. Help you pick out a gift for your wife for your anniversary. The wife talking to the executive assistant. You should get her this.
This is a fact, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a whole fact. Men, especially in the executive space, they do have a couple situations that they're dealing with. A lot of times they're, rocking out with the assistant or somebody. And, these women they're aware of the situation and they're helping that man deal or shop for the other woman. But to that point, a lot of times the wife does not know, to her point, the wife does not know that he has all those activities happening outside with the assistants and all these different things. So it is a bigger shocker to her than it is to the assistant. The assistant comes in already knowing this man is spoken for. So for her, she's, trying to get in good wherever she can so she can secure whatever her interests are in that situation. But, there are women who sign up for stuff like that. And I think it's way more common than people think. Now, Kevin raised another point earlier where he said, look, this is not one lopsided thing where all the cheatings are happening just on the men's side. In the same way, women cheat just as much with men who may not even measure up to the husband status wise, but there's some sort of need that another man may meet for that person, and they'd be willing to sneak around and do that. So it's kind of a dog eat dog world on both sides of the fence.
Happens. So here's the thing. If you want the lifestyle, cool. And if you don't want it and you're willing to do it all, that's a choice. But that should be what it's about, choice. But I guess what I'm tripping on is why is it your business if they choose to do it? How does it
wrong.
But how does
It is wrong.
it
It triggers me
why?
because of where I come from, and I see it. And maybe I'm not sure if they're saying no problem or if they're upset about it, but they're not going to go against it because they don't have the financial means to move on.
Have you ever sat down with dozens of these women and asked them?
It's more of a societal
So
situation
in
that
other words,
people know what's going on.
Well, due respect, 30 minutes ago you told me that there weren't a lot of men out here who weren't in jail or whatever.
No, I was speaking about
What I'm saying is,
between 19 to 29, a third of Black men are in jail. That's a
they're
stat.
not.
I just read that yesterday. 19 and 29.
Get arrested, not in jail. Get arrested. It's not in jail. See, you gotta be careful with this kind of stuff.
I read it, but I read it.
Can read it online, but what about the 2.5 million in the middle class? What about the 54% that are single and childless and the 61% in the middle class? When Brad gets arrested in New Orleans during Mardi Gras for disorderly conduct, it doesn't impact him. But when Tyrone does, we want to make a federal case out of it.
I don't agree with it. I'm not
But the
saying
point-
that I'm with Black men going to jail.
But my point is that the statistic is often used to talk about what makes men unfit. And the thing is, it's not true.
I'm not saying it makes someone fit. I'm saying that
What is
this
it?
is the reality we live in, where
What-
some men go to jail, they stay in
Arrested.
there a lifetime.
Arrested.
So there's the percentage of men,
54%.
there's different men up.
54% of adult Black men are single and childless.
Okay, can I ask you?
I'm serious. Before we do that though, then how can 1/3 be in jail if 54% is single and childless, 61% in the class, and 30% are married? 30% of Black men are married. That's 84% of the population right there. The numbers don't line up.
So is there a differentiation between like mid-level men and low-value men, or is it just high-value men and everyone else?
I'm quite sure there is, but it's not the men that men want to be, not the men that women want.
So men, in your experience, women only want high-value.
Yes. Women will tell you they don't want a high value.
Now, I have to say, this is again yet another distinction between the modern woman and a traditional minded woman. A modern woman wants a high value man because that man can afford for her a certain lifestyle. Traditional women may have gone in a relationship, you know what I mean, for family and, you know, from to death do us part. She was willing to go in there and do whatever it took to be in that relationship. Whereas a lot of women are making a business decision when they choose to be with a man. It's, can you do this? Can you provide a certain lifestyle? You need to make this amount of money. You need to do this. You need to allow me to do this. You need to do this, that, this. They have a mindset. So he's really speaking to that.
Because they don't like the options thing. But then you ask them, do you want to be married? Yes. How many kids you want? 2 to 3. Do you want to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant, married with your first child? No. 95% of them say no. Almost 99. They don't want to work when they're pregnant. Married. What percentage of our family finance do you want to be able to travel nationally, domestically, internationally with your family? Yes. You want your kids to be able to go to college if they want to? Yes. Do you want to be able to pay for it? Yes. All right. What percentage of our overall family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime? 30%. Means if you start working for any reason, the family's in jeopardy. Ooh. More like 15, 10%. How much money would you need to have as a family to support that lifestyle? For 3 kids, you got $200,000. In Atlanta, it's $350. Okay. Because I got to pay for college, everything else, blah, blah, blah. Because you want $1 million a kid. So the kids at that level are $481,000. So you want $1.4 million in kids. You ain't working, so you got to replace your income, whatever that is. 74% of black women earn less than $50,000. But whatever. You still have to provide the house, the car, the travel, the this, and that. All right. What kind of professions do these men have? Doctors, lawyers. All right. What percentage of men earn their money? And then it turns out that they don't want a high value man, but they want that lifestyle. So they don't want the high value man. They want a lifestyle. They want to not have to work. So do you want your kids to be homeschooled? 50% say yes, 50% say no. Do you want a housekeeper or maid? Yes. Do you want somebody to help with the kids and au pair or somebody help prepare the rooms? 50% say no, 50% say yes. Now what the French toast are you doing? You got a maid? Have you got housekeepers? You on your W-2, I've made kids with my husband. Most don't want to work. Then I ask the question, were you raised to be a housewife? Oh, I was raised by my mom. All right. And then I say, all right, what do those kind of men who do these things and have that kind of income, what do they want from a woman? And then they begin to describe the characteristics of the men they're looking for. That's the problem. Women want a lifestyle. A lifestyle that's out. And what's disheartening to men is you ask a lot of women, what'd your mother do? She was an accountant, or she was a registered nurse with your father. He's a truck driver. Came from straight up middle class. And then you want to go from here to upper class lifestyle.
So women should definitely work because most of them are not going to end up with a high value man. They should get their degrees, make their money, because the majority of them are not going to end up with this high value man.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at that.
They got to be able to support themselves.
Let's look at that. Cumulative debt on women's undergraduate loans, including principal and interest 1 year after graduation, by at least $41.5 billion black women. Black women have the highest amount of student loan debt. 74% of black women earn less than $50,000 a year. But ask the average black woman, would you accept a man who's making 50? And she will say no. So if you got the highest debt, regardless as to what your degree is, you can have a degree, but this is what matters, the income. 3 out of 4 are making that. Percentage that are currently married, 26%. 80% of our children are coming out of wedlock, and they're coming from less than 20% of the men. But here's the biggest factor. Black women were more likely to be married than white women until 1970. And then what happened? Lyndon B. Johnson, Great Society, welfare, third wave feminism, you go from being married at a rate of 85% to 26%. So if women get degrees, they still ain't making the kind of money. The median income for women in this country is $35,000. $25,000. Median income is $35,000. So when college-educated women tell women, say that women should get out, get a degree, and make their money, that's dangerous because they don't make the money because they're not choosing the careers that pay the money. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Women overwhelmingly choose humanities, communications, things like that. They don't pay any money. So if you're not making enough money and you're not getting married, you turn 65 and you're retired, you're not going to get rich, not gonna save your way into 20 years of income. They're not gonna own a home. Not gonna be able to live. So what would you tell women to do? Because 3 out of 4 don't make the money.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Numbers are a mismatch.
Again, great points. And I think this is the moment where Kevin wins the argument. A lot of times the debt for some of these degrees that a lot of women get, doesn't necessarily get settled by the type of income that the people are bringing in. So, there's a lot of women who's getting their education, but their salaries doesn't necessarily match the education they went and paid for. So he just read off the numbers, and I think that's hard for anyone to dispute. Those are all valid points that was made, and I think she's left speechless at some point. There was really nothing more to say. I mean, once the man reads the statistics. Now, there's a lot of people that would still have an emotional reaction to this because it's new information. It's hard to digest, and I think a lot of people have filters and internal barriers that prevents them from considering points like this being raised, but they are valid. I have to say, they are valid points.
Well, I guess you're advocating for them to get married and settle. Meet what they are. Live happily ever after.
No, I'm not saying I know what I think, but what I'm saying, what would you think?
You said the average was 34?
The median income for the American woman is $26,000 a year.
And that's all women?
That's
Black
median,
women?
but black women, the median income is $37,000. $37,000, so it's like a little bit under $19 an hour. $19 an hour. Now, you and I are sitting high up in Miami. That don't go nowhere. But that's with their degrees, and many of these women have student loan debt. I've dated women who have in excess of $300,000-$400,000 on the student loan debt, making less than $90,000 a year. Most around 40 to 50. So if you're in the position to where you have your degree, but you're making less, there's no, what's the solution?
I think the average woman that doesn't want to get married is going to think of another income stream or something else they can do.
See, and I want you to understand that the average income stream. I talk to women who are going to multi-level marketing, real estate, some sort of, it's always like, they think they're gonna have another income stream. I had this happen the other night, where I talked to a woman who's 42, wants to be married and have kids. This one right here. 42. There is no other income stream. You see, the thing is, when I ask most women this question, the reality is sad to me because women can't conceive that there are no good solutions. It's like, well, it has to work because women live in a world, especially when you're young and attractive, to where you're always in demand. You always want it, but eventually it's over. The club closes, it shuts down. And what's happening is they're going to be homeless. Homeless. Because if it happened, if men run out of money, no family, where are they going to be? On the street. And that's what's happening. Women are starting to be the hardest group of people. So you think about a woman who went to college for a communications degree, or she's a social worker. What is the likelihood of her coming up with a different stream of income in her 40s, 50s that's going to make her an extraordinarily high amount of money that she's going to be able to completely sock away that she's going to live on. That's not like it. So, according to the numbers,
But according to the numbers I've seen, Black women seem to be doing better financially than Black women.
nope. Nope.
Really?
Nope. BlackDemographics.com. Black statistics for Black people by Black people. From the CDC, Department of Health, Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's things I just showed you. Black demographics. 9% of Black women earn $75,000 or more. The average Black man is earning $41,000 in this country. The average white man earning $51,000. So look, $10,000 difference between what he's earning and what he's a Black man. But white women are twice as many.
Why does some
Okay. So parting words. There you have it, folks. Kevin made his point about the state of relationship and the modern woman, their mindset. A lot of times people think that it is somebody else's responsibility to take on their burdens, if you will. So a modern woman may have these expectations that does not align with reality. And I think some of the mindset, some of the thought patterns is one where they believe that they can be careless, you know, they can make poor decisions as young women, they can not be selective, they can choose the wrong men to pair up with. And somehow, some way, there's a guarantee that because they're beautiful, because they have some things going for themselves, that men will be lined up waiting to get with them and to marry them later on in their life. And the reality of the situation is, you know, the more experiences they have outside as young women going into their middle age time frame, the less options they end up having on the latter parts of their ages as opposed to the earlier parts of their ages. And so it's a delusional mindset to expect that a lot of times, you know, men are going to just choose a woman who, you know, has that type of mindset, who has a modern woman's type of mindset. So my advice after hearing all this discussion and some of the points raised is, I'm not going to say that it's impossible for a woman to find a man who loves her, you know, especially as in the later parts of her life. I'm not going to say that these things are not possible, but I think it becomes less probable the older you get. And I do think that it is a bit destructive to be modern-minded because it doesn't deal with the reality that men still require some sort of value proposition from their mate. And a man still desires to, you know, be the head of his household, to have influence on that woman, to be able to work with her so they can build their family and their legacy. And if that's not the case, then what you're seeing is that a lot of men are marrying at a lesser rate, and there's less of the good men to choose from, which creates the problems that we have now. A lot of very well educated women are not finding their mates because they thought that, you know, the men wanted them for maybe their education or some other things, and they you know, they would have a lot more options, and the truth is they don't. And a lot of times, even when they do find what they're looking for, those men are exercising their options. It may not be something they want to sign up for there as well. So it becomes an issue. For those who are in the situation, I I would definitely tell you to put God first, trust him, pray. I believe spiritually you can call into being those things that you haven't seen manifested yet. So I would definitely encourage that. But even that in itself doesn't guarantee you a mate. I'm simply saying, trust God, right? And if your faith holds strong, you will certainly find someone that may not be everything you're looking for, but someone that is who God would have for you. Thank you guys for joining me on this show. It has been a pleasure dealing with you guys and sharing this content with you. I pray that you are connected, but if you're not, make sure you like and subscribe. You stay connected and you join the conversation. All right. Next, we're going to jump into our music corner to always end on a positive note. So without any further ado, let's go right into that. Today's edition, we have one of the greatest to ever do it. We have Jadakiss on a freestyle on the LA Leakers. So let's jump right into it.
LA Leakers, Just Incredible Sour Milk. This one's gonna be special, man. I mean, you already heard it. I ain't even got to introduce him, man.
We here, baby. Ignatius out right now. LA Leakers, Jadakiss. Look out, 2020.
Uh-oh.
The vision is clear in the hindsight. Yo. I will let the 9 burst. West Coast mixtape, kiss my Converse. Before you play your part, gotta read your lines first. Before it's in your heart, gotta be in your mind first. Getting my prayers in, I'm just trying to do what the Lord says. Slimmer fitting Dickie sitting right on the Cortez. You could tell a winning, yo, just look what the score says. My man will be home, pending on what the board says. They know the champ back, getting the camp back. Buy them all AMG bins with the slant backs. Album is out now, I'm hearing them chant that. It's heroin. Whenever I stamp that, know how I do niggas, you know that I chew niggas. Seasoned veterans or one of these new niggas. Gotta be kidding me, can never get rid of me. Even if they kill me, I'm still a epitome. Boss of the back block, talking that crack rock. Any controlled substance, I was the mascot. They did the bow ties, I did the Ashcots. They hit the quick pick, I hit the jackpot. Much as I have, I'm still repping the have-nots. I made a turn around, I just wanted the back shots. I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month, I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
Okay.
What's up?
What's up? What's up, man?
What's up?
Hold on, you said kiss my Converse? Is that
Kiss my Converse, baby.
Okay.
Kiss is here, man.
They gotta know it.
They gotta know, man.
Gotta know it.
Top 5 on many lists, man. As deserved, man.
Yeah. That.
Honor to have you on our LA Leaker freestyle series.
LA Leakers, my brothers, man, for years now.
Yeah.
And I got the Biggie shirt on,
Yeah,
man.
they got the B.I. shirt.
R.I.P. B.I., man.
We had to do it for B.I.
Facts.
We had to do it, man. It's a legendary, historical day.
Yeah.
Wow, Jadakiss.
Yes,
Word
yes.
up.
LA Leakers, man.
Hey.
Right now.
Power 106, and we #1 for hip hop. Take that, man.
That was Jadakiss. Thank y'all for joining us again for a great show. Thank you for your time, sharing your time with me. I pray that God keeps y'all blessed, highly favored, and provided for until we meet again. All right? Be well.